Investors are really interested in AI companies. And I wanted to compare three of the biggest companies on the stock market and voice my opinion on which one is the best bet long term with regards to AI. The three companies I wanted to compare are Microsoft, that has ChatGPT, Google, which has Gemini, and then Meta, which has come out with Meta AI. These three companies are excellent. You can't go wrong long term with any of them. But I think that one out of the pack is probably going to have the most promising future. And I'll reveal that at the end of this video. I'll go through and analyze each company and where I see each company having really strengths and weaknesses potentially in their AI business. AI is new and it's relatively unknown what business models are going to work. But something that is known is that there's a lot of interest in AI. I would argue there's too much hype in AI right now. We need to really figure out where there's truly going to be a business, where there's truly going to be value add, and what is just really a pipe dream. We'll see over time. Before I jump into this, just a reminder, I'm an individual investor. I'm not recommending you buy any of these companies or sell them or do any type of investing in any of these companies. So I'm just sharing my experience as an individual investor, sharing with you how I see things and what I plan to do from an investing perspective. I'm also being sponsored by Moomoo, which is a brokerage. They have a nice offer for new account holders, which is they'll pay you 8.1% on your cash holdings with that brokerage. They'll also give you 15 free stocks if you open an account with more than $1,000. So let's go through these three companies and evaluate, where they sit in the AI race. And right now, it truly is a race to get as many users as possible on these three platforms. So let me start with really the biggest name right now in AI seems to be ChatGPT, and that is in direct partnership with Microsoft. So when I use ChatGPT, Microsoft, I'm kind of using it as one because I think that eventually ChatGPT is probably going to be acquired by Microsoft, but Microsoft's definitely hitching their strategy to ChatGPT. So the strengths are that they really came in with a very big splash into the market, and they got more than 35 million users of their AI platform. It's been really good adoption for them. They're getting a lot of good press and really have taken on one of the central figures of the AI hype cycle. Microsoft has really partnered with ChatGPT and is integrating ChatGPT into their Microsoft suite of products, which should be really interesting to see how many companies buy that feature for their employees to use to make them more efficient, help them write papers, maybe do a couple of different tasks, which would make employees more efficient. That's really interesting. The weaknesses that I see with ChatGPT is that it's a really young company, and that was really displayed when they fired their CEO and rehired him within 48 hours. That was bizarre. That happened in the last 12 months. I couldn't believe it's happening. But I think things have calmed down, but it really shows that it is a young company, and we'll see how things go. Another possible concern for ChatGPT is recently Scarlett Johansson asked them to take down a voice impression of her voice. And they denied that they copied her voice, but it was later revealed that they actually did use an example of her voice to train their model. So I think that could get really dicey from a legal perspective. And that could just be the beginning of lawsuits to come if they're really copying content. We'll see. I'll leave that up to the courts, but it should be kind of an interesting area to keep track of as we look at AI businesses. But overall, ChatGPT has had an awesome couple of years. The company didn't really exist to me a couple of years ago, and now they're a central figure in AI. So Microsoft's done really well with AI. They really have used it as a catalyst for their business. They've become the most valuable company on the stock market. I think a lot of that is deserved. They really have had a really good strategy, and they have really good businesses behind the company. So overall, Microsoft's strong. I do think that their stock price is a little too expensive. I run a valuation for each company that I look at, and currently Microsoft is being sold at a premium. So that is one thing to consider for me as I look at investing in Microsoft. Now let's take a look at Meta. So Meta is one of the companies that didn't receive a lot of attention early on, but is now receiving a lot of attention. And it makes sense. Meta is one of the big technology social app companies, and their application is quite impressive. I've used all three, and I've asked questions of all three. And I would say they all do a very good job of providing really good content. The Meta AI was offered to me using WhatsApp, which is one of the applications that I use, as well as I was using Facebook, and it was presented to me. My wife was also offered Meta AI. So one of the main strengths that I think Meta has is they have billions of people using one of the Meta apps every month. So I think their adoption rate is going to be very high because A, they provide it for free, and two, they have so many people log in into an application that they own. So it looks quite promising for Meta to really get a lot of users on their AI platform. Another strength that Meta has is most of their revenues on Facebook and Instagram come from commercial accounts. So these are businesses that are advertising on Meta. So those types of relationships will enable it to potentially, as they grow their AI business, is really tap into those commercial accounts that are used to advertising on Facebook and have some type of business arrangement so that their AI benefits those companies. We'll see what happens there. I just view it as a strength, the relationship and the return on investment that Meta has to its commercial accounts. In regards to weaknesses, I would say that one weakness that I see with Meta is that they are not a hyperscaler. Microsoft is a hyperscaler and Google is a hyperscaler, meaning they can roll out all the infrastructure needed for a commercial account to use AI applications potentially. So Meta doesn't do that. That's not part of their business. So it's just something that I'll point out that it is something that they cannot compete with Google or Microsoft should a customer want that. But overall, I think the Meta stock has seen a really nice year. Year to date, it's doing great. It's up more than 50%. And I still see a small discount in the stock price for Meta. They have a bright future, and I think it's a stock that I'm very glad to be an owner of, and I'm glad to buy additional shares. The third company that I'll talk about is Google, otherwise known as Alphabet. And Google has rolled out Gemini, which has really been in the making for 10 plus years. The strengths for Google is their technology. I think their knowledge and intelligence and intellect are really up there with anybody. So I think their AI is quite impressive. They rolled it out slowly. They were careful with it. That would be one of the concerns that I have, that they're not just going all in on AI. Now, if AI ends up being overhyped, I think Google's strategy is going to work in their favor. If it really explodes, Google is now having to play catch up against ChatGPT. At this point, I think Google has really fallen behind, and that's been a surprise since they are such a powerhouse. Overall, Gemini is really impressive, and Google has a really good position overall in technology. They have great relationships with commercial accounts that advertise using Google search as well as on YouTube. And those relationships could really help them get credibility with businesses that want to use AI. They have a lot of account holders of Gmail, YouTube, and they can easily put it on their Google search so they can really grow the number of users that they would have of their AI platform. So Google's in a really good place. And I think long term, I'm willing to bet on Google. I continue to buy shares, I already have a pretty big position in Google. One thing that is interesting about Google is their autonomous driving. It's been around for more than 10 years. They've been testing it in cities. They recently rolled it out in Los Angeles, and it's pretty impressive. I live in Los Angeles, so I've seen the Waymo cars driving around with nobody behind the wheel. It's pretty interesting to see. And I haven't taken a ride, but I really look forward to getting into a car that is being really driven by AI. That'll be really cool. So it really shows that Google is in it for the long haul, and they have real businesses. Both the ChatGPT AI platform is offered in a free version, and Google Gemini is also offered in a free version, and Meta AI is offered in a free version. But Google and Microsoft and ChatGPT, they offer a more premium experience of AI that has more capabilities, and they charge for that. And the charge isn't so significant, but if the users really grow, let's say they get 100 million users, that could really add up quickly for Microsoft, ChatGPT, and Google. I'm not sure if Meta would ever do that. I think Meta's long game is just having as many users as possible. But I think the monetization of AI, it'll be interesting to track that. I'll be tracking it on Google's earnings calls as well as Microsoft's to see how they're monetizing AI, how many users they have, how many customers are really buying into the AI platform. So my number one pick for a long-term AI company is Alphabet Google. I think they're going to have the longest strategy that's going to be the most successful. I think Microsoft has a very enviable position. I think they're doing great, but I think their stock price is a little too high, and there's too many question marks around ChatGPT and really the business being so young and a little immature at times. Meta has a great position, but not as strong as Google. So these are three great choices, but my number one bet on AI is going to reside with Alphabet Google. I think the stock's still discounted, even though it's had a great year this year, and it continues to really go up. And I think the news is really changing for the better with Google. And especially now that they have Gemini offered in a paid version, it'll be really interesting to see the user numbers and the monetization of AI. So that's my video on the three big AI plays that I see out there and the direction that I see the market and where I'm betting my money, which will be on Google, number one, Meta, number two, and Microsoft, number three. I hope you enjoyed the video and I really appreciate you watching. And just remember, I'm an individual investor. Everything that I share with you is just for information purposes. It's not investment advice. I do not recommend you buy, hold, sell any of the stocks that I just spoke about. I'm also being sponsored by Moomoo, which is a brokerage. And you can subscribe to Moomoo, you can become an account holder, and they'll pay you 8.1% on your cash for the first 3 months. Also, if you sign up with more than $1,000, they'll give you 15 free stocks. If you're interested in that offer, take a look at the details in the video description and you can get more information there. Thanks again for watching.